What if I told you that right now, in the treacherous waters of the Gulf of Oman, a single act could ignite a global crisis? A foreign oil tanker seized by Iranian forces, 18 innocent crew members from India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, now detained in a foreign land. Millions of liters of fuel confiscated. Is this just a routine bust or the first thread in a web of retaliation that could choke the world's oil supply? Hold on tight, because what you're about to uncover will shock you to your core. Welcome to the War Threads, the channel that doesn't just report the chaos. We pull apart the hidden connections, the secret motives, and the dangerous games being played by superpowers. Today, December 14th, 2025, just one day after the incident, we're diving deep into Iran's bold seizure of an oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman. This isn't some isolated event. It's a flashpoint in a region already boiling with tensions. U.S. sanctions, nuclear standoffs, Houthi attacks, and shadow wars over energy. You won't believe the twists ahead, from smuggling rings worth billions of dollars to potential links with global powers. But first, let's unravel what really happened on those fateful waters. The world is not what it seems. Behind the headlines, beneath the speeches, there are threads. Invisible, dangerous, unbreakable. Threads of deception, threads of betrayal, threads that connect superpowers in a deadly web. One leak can expose an empire's secret plan. One accusation can push nations to the brink. One hidden alliance can change history forever. Quick, intense cuts, leaked document flashing classified, Putin in the shadows smiling, Trump pointing aggressively, Xi Jinping staring coldly, missiles rising from silos, cybercode raining on screen, European flags tearing, nuclear symbol pulsing red, soldiers in trenches, drones flying, cities in blackout. Folks, imagine a hidden empire thriving in the shadows of the Middle East, an underground network worth billions of dollars every year. Ghost tankers vanishing into the night, secret loadings at remote ports, corrupt insiders tipping off routes, and massive profits that make drug cartels look small. What if I told you this all starts with Iran's fuel subsidies? Diesel sold inside Iran for as little as 5 cents per liter, cheaper than bottled water. But just across the border, in Pakistan or Afghanistan, the same diesel sells for $1 or more. That's a 20x markup, pure gold for smugglers. Shocking, right? One tanker load like the seized one, 6 million liters, could net $4 to $6 million in black market profits after costs. Dozens of such runs yearly? We're talking an industry draining tens of billions from Iran's economy. Iran pours over $30 billion annually into subsidies to keep fuel affordable for citizens, but smugglers exploit it ruthlessly, rigging gas station pumps, hiding fuel in truck compartments for land routes, or loading massive sea tankers for bigger hauls. You won't believe the tactics. Ghost ships with flags from shady registries, constantly renaming vessels, painting over identifiers, and, just like this seized tanker, turning off AIS trackers to go dark on global radar. Iranian patrols spot them, issue stop commands, chase ensues, boarding teams storm the deck, dramatic, high-stakes pursuits on open water. But here's the twist that hooks you deeper. These aren't lone wolves. Organized syndicates run the show, with port insiders, bribed officials, armed escorts, even satellite jammers. Personal angle to keep it engaging, think of the crew, those 18 detained men from India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. Many are poor seafarers, lured by decent pay, $500 to $1,000 a month, but risking everything. Months away from family, dangerous seas, now facing Iranian jails. Families back home, heartbroken, pleading for release. Will charges stick or diplomatic deals free them?
Deeper thread, smuggling doesn't just steal fuel, it allegedly funds proxies, evades sanctions, supports shadow economies.
Some routes overlap with arms trafficking or discounted oil sales to China. Shocking stat, up to 30% of subsidized fuel vanishes to smugglers, trillions of liters over decades. Iran cracks down fiercely, 50-plus seizures in recent years, but the sea is endless, profits irresistible. Economic brutality. Subsidies sparked 2019 riots when briefly cut, so Tehran tolerates some leakage, but not tankers this bold. Global impact? Insurance skyrockets for Gulf shipping, armed guards now standard on vessels. Question to you, if Iran ends subsidies, smuggling dies, but protests explode? Damned either way. Cliffhanger hook, but wait, recent U.S. seizures of Iran-bound ships with military cargo. Coincidence or direct retaliation? Hold on, because what if this tanker seizure isn't just about smuggling? What if it's cold, calculated retaliation in a shadow war that's been raging for years? You won't believe the timing. Just days before Iran's dramatic raid, U.S. Special Forces, in a midnight operation, boarded and seized a suspicious vessel in international waters. That ship, allegedly carrying advanced military components destined for Iran, missile guidance systems, drone parts, things that could tip the balance in regional conflicts. U.S. officials called it a major blow to Iran's illicit networks. Tehran, furious silence at first. Then, this tanker grab. Shocking coincidence or direct message, you touch our supplies, we touch yours. Let's unravel this thread deeper. U.S.-Iran tensions are at boiling point in late 2025. The nuclear deal, dead and buried. Sanctions tighter than ever, biting into Iran's economy. Oil exports crippled officially, but shadow fleets keep some flowing. Iran accuses the U.S. of economic warfare, starving its people while funding proxies against Tehran. Washington fires back. Iran arms Houthis, Hezbollah, militias attacking U.S. bases. Remember the pattern? 2019, tanker wars, mysterious explosions, mutual seizures, denials all around. 2024's St.
Nicholas incident, Greek tanker hijacked, later released after diplomatic horse trading. Now this. Experts are whispering. Iran's Revolutionary Guards who conducted the seizure are sending a clear signal. We control these waters. Cross us, and your shipping pays the price. But here's the engaging twist that keeps you hooked. The Gulf of Oman isn't random. It's the gateway to the Strait of Hormuz, that narrow choke point where 21 million barrels of oil pass daily. That's nearly 1/5 of global supply. Iran has repeatedly threatened to close it in retaliation for sanctions. One blockade? Oil prices could spike $20 to $50 per barrel overnight. Gas at pumps jumps. Inflation roars back. Stock markets crash. Your daily life? Hit hard. Think it can't happen? Iran mined tankers in 2019. Houthis, Iran-backed, are still attacking Red Sea shipping, forcing reroutes that add weeks and millions in costs. Shocking revelation? Maritime insurance for Gulf routes has already doubled in 2025. Shipping giants avoiding the area. Silent economic war already underway. Deeper connection? Those detained crew members, mostly South Asian, highlight how ordinary people become pawns. India, a major buyer of discounted Iranian oil in the past, now walks a tightrope between U.S. pressure and energy needs. Will New Delhi push hard for release or stay quiet to avoid angering Washington? Global players watching? China, Iran's top oil buyer, quietly supports Tehran. Russia coordinates an OPEC Plus to keep prices high. Question to you, if the U.S. escalates, more seizures, strikes on IRGC boats, does this spiral into open conflict or back-channel deals release the tanker quietly? Analysts warn, this is classic gray zone warfare, below war threshold but damaging nonetheless.
Cliffhanger hook, but the real danger? How this ties into Iran's nuclear ambitions and frozen assets abroad. The nuclear thread that could make this seizure look tiny. Stop for a moment and picture this. 18 ordinary men.
Fathers, husbands, brothers, waking up to a normal shift on a tanker, only to have armed Iranian commandos storm the deck, guns drawn, ordering them to the floor. What if I told you these aren't criminals or spies? They're hard-working seafarers from India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, countries where shipping jobs are a lifeline for thousands of families living on the edge of poverty. Shocking reality. Most earn $600 to $1,200 a month. Decent money back home, but the risks are brutal. Months away from loved ones, storms, pirates, and now this, detained in a foreign country accused of smuggling they may know nothing about. Let's put faces to the numbers. These crews are typically recruited through manning agencies in Mumbai, Colombo, Dhaka. Young guys in their 20s to 40s sending remittances that pay for kids' school fees, parents' medicine, home loans. One imagined story based on countless real cases. A 35-year-old Indian chief engineer from Kerala, married with 2 kids, joined the ship just weeks ago for a 6-month contract. Now his wife back home refreshes news apps every hour, terrified. He just called last week saying everything was fine. Sri Lankan deckhands, Bangladeshi oilers, same fears. Families gathering at temples, mosques, churches, praying for quick release. You won't believe how common this nightmare is. In past Iranian seizures, like the 2019 Grace 1 or 2024 incidents, crews were held for weeks, even months, isolated in ports, limited phone access, facing interrogations in a language they barely understand. Human rights groups warn conditions can be harsh, cramped quarters, uncertainty eating at mental health. Some past detainees described fear, depression, weight loss. Engaging question: are these men guilty by association? Often, crews claim they were just hired hands, loading cargo as ordered by owners they never meet. The real profiteers? Shadowy ship owners hiding behind shell companies in Panama, Liberia, Comoros flags. Shocking twist.
Maritime law is murky here. Crews can be charged collectively even if innocent. Release often depends on backroom diplomacy, quiet deals between governments, not courts. India's response so far: Ministry of External Affairs says they're monitoring closely and in touch with Iranian authorities for consular access. But will Delhi push hard? India balances ties with Iran for Chabahar port oil history against U.S. alliance pressure. Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, smaller voices, appeal through embassies, but leverage is limited. Deeper emotional hook? Remittances from seafarers are massive. India alone gets $10 billion yearly from maritime workers. One prolonged detention ripples through villages. Past examples? 2019 British-flagged Stena Impero, 23 crew held 2 months amid UK-Iran spat, eventually released after tanker swaps. Grace 1 crew suffered similar ordeal. Experts fear, if this drags on, it becomes bargaining chip. Release our assets, we release your men. Heart-wrenching angle? Christmas approaching. These men might miss holidays with family again. Kids waiting for gifts that may never come. Global shipping industry outrage? Unions demand better protection. Crews shouldn't pay for owners' crimes. Question to you: would you take a high-paying sea job knowing this risk? Or is the money worth the danger? Cliffhanger hook? But while families suffer, the world focuses on oil prices and power games. How this seizure threatens your wallet at the gas pump? The seizure ripples are turning into a full diplomatic tsunami, and you won't believe how fast the world is reacting. What if I told you that within hours of Iran's announcement, foreign ministries across Asia and beyond lit up with urgent calls, statements, and behind-the-scenes fury? Let's start with India, home to most of the 18 detained crew. New Delhi isn't staying silent. The Ministry of External Affairs issued a strong note. We are in close contact with Iranian authorities and seeking immediate consular access.
Access to our nationals. Their early release is our top priority. Shocking intensity. Indian media exploded, headlines screaming Iran holds Indian sailors hostage. Opposition party slamming the government for not being tougher. Social media trending hashtag release our seafarers with millions of posts. Why the heat? India has over 200,000 seafarers working globally, a massive workforce. Any threat to them hits national pride and economy hard. Remittances alone worth billions. Sri Lanka and Bangladesh echoed the call. Smaller nations, less leverage, but appealing through embassies for humanitarian release. Colombo's foreign ministry, deeply concerned for the welfare of our citizens. Now the big players. The United States, strangely quiet officially so far. No public condemnation yet. Why? Analysts say Washington doesn't want to escalate while pursuing broader Iran containment. But privately, U.S. Navy in the region on high alert, tracking every Iranian move. Remember, this comes right after America's own ship seizure. Public silence might hide back-channel pressure, release the crew quietly, or face more intercepts. Europe? The EU issued a cautious statement urging restraint and respect for international maritime law. Major shipping nations like Greece, Norway watching closely. Their tankers dominate Gulf routes. But here's the engaging twist. China, Iran's biggest oil buyer and strategic partner, stayed mum publicly. Beijing benefits from discounted Iranian crude via shadow fleets. Will they pressure Tehran privately to avoid broader chaos disrupting supplies? Russia? Quiet support for Iran, both in OPEC+, both anti-Western sanctions club. Maritime bodies exploding. The International Chamber of Shipping, IMO, urging calm. Seafarers must not be politicized. Shocking behind scenes? Diplomatic cables flying. India likely coordinating with US, UK for joint démarche. Past cases show quiet deals work best. Tanker releases tied to frozen asset thaws or prisoner swaps.
Industry reaction? Brutal. Major insurers raising war risk premiums for Gulf transits again. Routes already costly post-Houthi attacks. Global media split. Western outlets frame it Iranian aggression. Iranian state media, heroic bust of sanctions busters. Question burning everyone. How long will crew stay detained? Days? Weeks? Past patterns suggest 2 to 8 weeks unless escalated. Engaging scenario. If India pushes too hard publicly, Iran digs in. If too soft, accused of weakness. Delicate dance. UN angle. No Security Council move yet. Veto powers, US versus Russia/China, block anything strong. Humanitarian groups like Amnesty, Red Cross offering help, pushing for family contact, fair treatment. Social media storm. Viral videos of past crew reunions tugging heartstrings. Petitions gaining lakhs of signatures. Cliffhanger hook. But while diplomats scramble, markets are already reacting. Oil prices ticking up, threatening your wallet. Listen close, because this tanker seizure isn't staying in the Middle East. It's already reaching into your pocket. And what if I told you gas prices could jump 10 to 20% in weeks if this escalates? Shocking truth. Within hours of Iran's announcement on December 13th, global oil markets twitched. Brent crude spiked over 2% overnight. That's millions wiped off economies in seconds. Why so sensitive? The Gulf of Oman and nearby Strait of Hormuz handle 21 million barrels a day, nearly 1/5 of the entire world's oil supply. Tankers carrying crude to Asia, Europe, America all pass this choke point. One seizure, small blip, but it reminds traders Iran can disrupt at will. Add Houthi drone attacks in the Red Sea forcing ships to detour around Africa, and shipping costs are already through the roof. You won't believe the domino effect. Higher freight rates mean pricier oil delivery. Refineries pay more, gas stations hike prices. You pay at the pump. Real numbers hitting home.
In the U.S., average gallon already creeping toward $4 in some states. Europe?
Diesel nearing €2 per liter. India, where fuel is politically explosive, subsidies strained further. That extra $10, $20 per fill-up, multiplied weekly, it's hundreds yearly out of your budget. Groceries up too, everything shipped uses fuel. Inflation creeps back just when central banks thought it was tamed. Shipping giants reacting brutally. Maersk, MSC rerouting more vessels the long way, adding 10 to 14 days and $1 million plus per trip in fuel. Insurance war risk premiums for Gulf routes doubled again in 2025. Shocking stat, global shipping insurance costs up 300% since Houthi campaign began, companies passing it straight to consumers. Oil traders whispering if Iran seizes more or mines the strait threatened before, prices could hit $120 to $150 per barrel. Remember 2022 Ukraine spike? This could be worse. Stock markets jittery. Energy stocks up, Exxon, Saudi Aramco gaining, but airlines, logistics crashing on fuel fears. Asia hardest hit. China, India, Japan, South Korea import 80 to 90% of oil through these waters. Factories slow, exports costlier, jobs at risk. India angle burns. Already battling inflation, fuel price hikes spark protests. Government forced to dip into reserves or raise taxes elsewhere. Engaging question? Ever notice how Middle East news moves your gas price same day? This is why. One incident thousands of miles away, direct line to your tank. Deeper thread, sanctions meant to hurt Iran, but boomerang on global economy. Shadow fleet tankers often carrying Iranian oil, now riskier. Fewer willing to sail, supply tightens. OPEC Plus watching. Russia and Saudi could pump more to calm markets, but why would they when high prices fill their coffers? Alternative routes, pipelines limited. Suez Canal still disrupted, no quick fix. Analysts warn prolonged tension equals sustained high prices into 2026. Electric vehicles look better, but most of us still stuck with gas. Cliffhanger hook, but the scariest part, how this seizure ties directly
Iran's nuclear program and billions in frozen assets abroad. The nuclear escalation thread that makes oil prices look small, detonating with chilling impact. We've unraveled smuggling rings, retaliation shadows, human heartbreak, diplomatic fury, and economic pain. But now, the deepest, most dangerous thread of all, how this simple tanker seizure connects straight to Iran's nuclear program, the one issue that could drag the entire world into catastrophe. What if I told you Tehran uses fuel revenues, even smuggled ones, to fund its controversial nuclear ambitions? Sanctions crippled official oil sales, so shadow fleets and black market diesel keep cash flowing to the Revolutionary Guards and atomic scientists. Shocking link. The very subsidies fueling smuggling are partly sustained by off-books oil deals. Billions in frozen Iranian assets abroad, over $100 billion seized post-JCPOA collapse, remain a massive grudge. Tehran demands release as price for any nuclear restraint. Recent timeline chills the blood. Just weeks ago, IAEA reported Iran enriching uranium to near weapons grade. E3, France, Germany, UK, threatened sanction snapback. Russia and China blocked it while this seizure happens. Coincidence? Or muscle flexing? Pressure us on nukes, we pressure your energy lifeline. You won't believe the stakes. Experts warn a nuclear-armed Iran shifts Middle East balance forever. Israel vows prevention, possible preemptive strikes. U.S. red lines clear. Saudi, Gulf states race for their own programs. One miscalculation? Regional war exploding into global conflict. Proxy militias, cyber attacks, strait blockade. Oil at $200. Economies collapsing. Engaging nightmare scenario. Houthi escalation plus Iranian mines plus U.S. Navy response equals full naval war. Tankers burning like 1980s. Crews like our 18 become permanent hostages.
But hope thread. Back-channel talks often work. Past seizures ended quietly. Crew released, tankers returned after months. India's quiet diplomacy might
prevail here. Crew home by New Year? Possible if no public escalation. Deeper warning, this incident exposes fragility. World addicted to Gulf oil while sanctioning its supplier. Transition to renewables slow. We're trapped in this cycle. Question to you, how much risk for cheap energy? When does deterrence become provocation? Final revelation, the war threads aren't just in Oman waters. They're in every policy, every sanction, every hidden deal. One pull and the web tightens on us all. This seizure, likely resolved soon. Smuggling bust with retaliation flavor. Crew freed after investigations. Prices stabilize. But it reminds us, flashpoints never sleep. Next thread could be Taiwan, Ukraine, or another strait. The war threads exist to connect these dots before they snap. If this series opened your eyes, subscribe now. Hit notifications. Comment. Nuclear deal revival possible or inevitable clash. Share with friends who need to see beyond headlines. Thank you for joining this deep dive. Stay vigilant. The next crisis is always closer than it seems. This is the War Threads, signing off until the next thread pulls.